What about a fart candle?
Bro. Seriously?
I mean, we're talking about do's and don'ts.
For an open house?
All right, guys, on this month's episode of Closing Time with Jimmy B and Annie O, we're going to be talking about open houses. Or are they open circuses? Stay tuned and find out.
Oh my God! Welcome back to another episode of Closing Time podcast with Annie O and Jimmy B. We are now officially in November.
Man, this year is flying by.
Right? I know. Spooky season is officially over. I'm kind of bummed about that. This is my time. I love it.
But we are neck deep in football season. So it's an exciting time.
I'll stay with hockey. I'm good.
I mean, I like hockey too, so
Right?
I got no problem with that. But football
Gotcha.
wins. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so glad you are tuned in. This particular episode, we are going to be talking about open houses, do's and don'ts, or are they really like open circuses?
I've seen a lot of open circuses for sure.
All right, let's get in the episode.
And now it's time for a conversation with the most non-real estate expert that there is, Colonel Cross-Eye.
So on this episode of Closing Time with Jimmy B and Annie O, we have a very, very special guest, Mr. Colonel Cross-Eyed. How you doing today, sir?
How are you doing, Jimmy B?
I'm doing well, Colonel. You know, one thing I noticed immediately is that you're missing your signature hat, Colonel. What happened to your hat?
Well, I may have lost it.
You may have lost it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that, Colonel. Well, today we're going to be talking about a little bit about open houses, okay? So I wanted to ask you just a few quick questions, Colonel. The first of which is, since you have been in the market looking for a home, have you been to any open houses? And if so, what has been your experience?
Well, unfortunately, that's exactly how I lost my hat, sir. They just asked too much from me. Now here I am without it, till I get a new one. Overall, I am not pleased with how these circuses are run.
Okay. So with that being said, Colonel, what do you expect when you go to an open house?
I expect there to be a beautiful belle opening the door for me. I expect pleasantries and pleasant treats.
Care to elaborate on what kind of treats you'd like, Colonel?
Well, any decent Southernman would want a nice cool drink to deal with this Florida heat.
Okay. Well, thank you, Colonel. I'm really glad to have you on the episode today, and we're going to go ahead and move on.
Okay, so this segment, we're going to be talking about open houses, specifically the do's and don'ts. So, what do you think? The good, the bad, the ugly? My first thing I got to say and admit to is we have a ton of sense when it comes to like spooky season, the fall, pumpkin spice lattes, like that kind of thing. Then we transition to Christmas and now it's like the apple cinnamon and like cranberry and everything. But, turkey is getting a bad rap. Where are the savory? Where's my like turkey rosemary or like cornbread candles?
What about a fart candle?
Bro. Seriously?
I mean, we're talking about do's and don'ts.
For an open house?
That would be a don't.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Fair point. Let's not do those.
I mean, let's be honest. Who's going to walk into a house and want to smell a
Cinnamon.
turkey candle?
I mean, I'm just saying, it'd make me hungry. And
Here's
if I'm going to have snacks.
Not to go off topic, but let me ask you a question.
All right.
How many people actually enjoy the turkey at Thanksgiving?
I like my turkey. Thank you very much.
For those of you watching, I would love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments.
I mean, fair. But yeah, I'm a turkey lover. I'm old school. Give me a turkey.
But you walk into an open house.
Okay.
Think of a candle scent.
Okay, but think of like rosemary and, I mean, scents are clearly a big deal when it comes to open houses.
Okay. So
Like even
what
real houses.
what would you recommend then?
I like cinnamon. I like apple. Think of cookies. Like vanilla. Vanilla is a fantastic, really neutral. It's one of those things where it just feels homey. With the scents and everything like that. Homie, yeah. Hey,
Is that
homie.
a word?
I got you, homie. It's fine.
But now, isn't there a old wives' tale about, not candles, but like of baking something in the oven
Oh, yeah.
prior to an open house or even a showing, especially around
yep.
this time of year.
100%. And there's a couple different tricks. I've always told my clients, boil a pot of water, and you could do cinnamon sticks in there, oranges, like slice up some oranges, throw it in there. So it just has that simmer. You let that like half hour before it's time for the open house or anything, and it's phenomenal.
See, that's a lot better than a turkey candle.
I mean, I get it, but I'm just wondering why there's not a market for savory candles while we're going through this. Okay, so we talked about scents being a big, big thing when it comes to do's and don'ts. No fart candles, I'm sorry, on that. What else would you say is definitely a big do?
Well, what are your thoughts on like a spread of food or snacks or drinks? Because I'm very indifferent on this particular topic.
I like it. I've always done them too. Remember, I've even done them where we had the alcoholic beverages added on too. We did the apple cider mimosas and everything for the fall season, which is really a hit. And for me, it was all about getting people to stay in the houses longer.
Right.
So even if they didn't like the house, the fact that they're still in there, they're like grabbing some snacks, they're enjoying some drinks, like it just gives you more opportunity where you're talking with them. So you can really find out like what their actual goals are. If this isn't the house for them, okay, but what would be? So that's kind of why I liked all those ideas and everything. And then when it comes to the snacks, I'm definitely much more of like the sweets treats, like cookies, muffins, things like that. Now, I've seen some people go really, really crazy with it too, like taco bars. And I kind of like that idea too. What do you think? I know you said you're a little indifferent, but if someone had tacos at an open house.
I guess it just depends on the level of open house that you're trying to do, right? If you're doing an open house on, a standard single family home in most of the areas we work, where let's say the average price point is around $400,000 or $500,000,
Yeah.
I think that's just a little bit over the top, and I think you'll end up eating more of the tacos than the guests. That's just my personal opinion. I think most people who come to an open house aren't like there to have food. Now, if you're talking about a $1 million property, right, or a 3,000, 4,000 plus square foot home, something really, really large, that's going to attract a bigger crowd of people, then I would say having a spread like taco bar or a mimosa bar or anything like that could make more sense, right? It's not a bad to do, I'm saying, on the lower price point homes, but I feel like it's a waste, in my opinion.
Like it's overkill.
Like major overkill.
Okay.
Like I've found that if I bring 6 bottles of water, 10 bottles of water, whatever the number is, right? Just trying to gauge how many people I'm going to have come through the home, and maybe a box of cookies. I find that 9 times out of 10, I'm bringing 9 out of 10 of those bottles of water home, and I'm giving the cookies to the kids because I'm not a big sugar guy.
Yeah, like here, have at it and everything.
Right. So it's like, I'm like kind of iffy on the snacks, unless it's a bigger open house.
Okay, I get it.
Do you differ on that one?
I'm definitely, like I said, I will always bring some kind of treats or sweets like that and everything. In terms of like how in depth I go, it does play into one, how much time I have to prepare, and then like really, what we're really doing for the whole thing, and size, like you said, the property itself. So we got snacks, we got drinks, we got scents. What would be another good do for you?
Well, really, as far as, the people coming in themselves, right?
Okay.
What do you do if you have someone come in, they're really standoffish, but they're just kind of like lingering around the house? A little more like overstating their welcome.
Then it almost feels like we're going into that like circus aspect of it. It really depends on like how they're talking to me, or if they're talking. The fact that you said they're being standoffish, but yet they're not leaving, like there's something going on that clearly they're just not communicating with you. So it really depends. Like, and this is where me being a female and stuff, like it really depends on the kind of vibes I'm getting from the person. If somebody's making me feel uncomfortable, I'm not going to be trying to converse with them or anything like that. I'm going to try to get them out of the house as soon as possible.
And how do you
especially if
do
I'm at
that?
that. I'm literally opening the front door. I'm going through. Like, I'm not like making. I'm Captain Obvious when it comes to these things. Where I'm like, hey, appreciate your time. Thanks for looking. What do you think? Usually, if they're like, oh no, it's fine or whatever, I'm like, all right, well, hey, thanks so much. I'm opening the door. I'm literally walking that direction. I'm like, hey, by the way, did you see outside and like the yard and like. Go. That's the kind of stuff I do. Now, if it's somebody like I don't feel that vibe, but they're just a little more cautious, maybe not open, I'm definitely more like, okay, well, like what's going on? Like I will try to prod them a little bit where it's more casual. It's like, hey, what are you looking? Have you been looking long? You know, like I'll try to at least see if they'll respond to me in some kind of way.
Have you ever had an instance where you've done an open house and it did turn into more of an open circus?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Well, tell our viewers.
Geez. Okay. So it wasn't recent, but it was definitely like pre-COVID where, you know, I did a fantastic job with like the signs. I did the balloons outside. I literally told the neighbors about everything going on. And there wasn't that many houses for sale. And it happened to be just a Saturday. And I don't know if like a soccer game had just finished or whatever, but basically there was just like kids with like cleats on and like in the house. And thankfully it wasn't empty, like it was vacant, so like it wasn't too much, but like I had to actually sweep the house out afterwards and everything. Ransacked all of my goodies and snacks like that, which is why I'm like, there's clearly something going on. But I had probably a good 50 or 60 people in this freaking house.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was only me at the time. So like even as I was trying to get some of the people, like obviously parents and like the adults to like sign in and write their information, there was like 4 other people walking by me and I was just like, hi, or I'll get to you or what. Like it was literally like that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, step 1, I don't think I should do open houses by myself anymore. And then step 2 is like, I need a better way of like funneling and making sure that people were like signing in and registering, things like that, just so I could get it done. But yeah, that was a crazy one.
Yeah, I would say for me, I haven't really had one where I've had that many people come through, but the children aspect is the first thing that came to my mind. I've done open houses, probably more than one, at least 2 in the past, where there's at least more than 4 children running around the house at the same time. And, you know, they could be grabbing remotes. They could be climbing on the furniture, trying to, you know, pet the parrot or the bird that says don't touch, that wants to bite their finger off, or, you know, breaking the blinds.
Yeah, touching like literally everything or opening stuff in the drawers.
Putting their handprints all over the sliding glass doors.
So I'd have to say another do when it comes to open houses, regardless if it's furnished or not, like bring your own cleaning supplies, like a broom, a dustpan, paper towels, Clorox wipes, even as simple as it sounds, toilet paper. Like just to make sure there's always something there, because that's part of the circus part too, is when you have it and, you know, someone uses the toilet and like doesn't finish the,
that was going to be the next thing I brought up. So a definite, when you talk about do's and don'ts of an open house, don't go to an open house and pinch a loaf. That is not cool.
So bad.
I'm talking to all of you watching this now. Do not go into my open house and take a
Yeah.
okay? That is not fun for me. It's not fun for the owner when they get home, especially if your stuff stinks and lingers.
Exactly. That's definitely one that's on the don't list.
Do you ever feel like, here's a really great question.
Go for it.
Not like in a serious question. Do you feel in today's market that an open house actually helps sell the house? Because I have potential sellers ask me this all the time. And I have my own opinion on it, but I would love to hear yours.
So, statistically speaking, from open houses, only 8% of properties actually sell.
Ooh,
So
we got facts.
Yeah, hell yeah, I got data buddy. I'm your data buddy. Okay.
Oh, right. We talked about that last month.
And that's something I do bring up. So, does it actually sell the house? Not necessarily from that regard. What it does do, though, is create the exposure. It helps, like, I'm a big proponent, though, of letting, like, your neighbors know your house is for sale and everything. And sometimes they're completely able to, you can have a sign in the yard and they won't pay attention or anything like that. But having an open house where they can come and you can start talking to them, actually asking them more probing questions and being like, hey, you get to pick your next neighbor. Like, who do you have? How do you get, like, you know, like, there's other supplementary ways you can kind of pinch an open house to get like more activity for it that you wouldn't have normally have come across.
So, a follow-up question.
All right.
Have you ever sold a home that was your listing from an open house buyer? Or to an open house buyer that came into one of your open houses?
Directly just from that one. I've actually only done it one time.
I've done it 0.
Really?
I've never sold a listing of mine from an open house.
That's what I'm saying. The numbers are so low. Because the idea is you're getting someone, and this is the bigger issue with open houses. You're getting people from an emotional standpoint. If they're driving through and they see a sign in the yard, like, oh, that's cool. Let me go check it out. Like, you don't know if they're qualified, if they're really mentally prepared to buy a house or anything. And then when they go, that's usually when we start that process. And that's where I've converted a lot of people where it's like, okay, you're not ready right now, but like in 2 months, let's create a game plan and you will be buying a house. And then 90% of the time, those houses that they originally looked at, they're gone, they're sold, things like that. So that's where the open house is like a good tool. But I'm very realistic with all of my sellers being like, hey, if you want me to do open houses, like I'll do them. And, I know what the numbers are. But the reality is like the open house isn't where we're going to get your buyer.
Right.
So that's where I kind of keep it real.
Yeah.
And then actually a lot of sellers are more on the idea of like not hosting open houses.
Yeah, because they don't want random people, not serious buyers, trampling through their house, dirtying it up.
Yeah.
And then when you give them the statistic that it's 8%, a lot of them are like, yeah, it's not worth it.
Right. I'm like, and with the digital tools and technology that we have, that's a better resource of like pulling people into your property regardless compared to an open house. So.
No, don't get us wrong. Like open houses can definitely be a massive, massive benefit, but you definitely need to do them right, which we're going to talk about in another segment. All right, guys, that wraps up this segment about the do's and don'ts of open houses. I would love for you guys to put in the comments what you guys think are good do's and don'ts for an open houses, what your experience has been at an open house, whether you're an agent or a consumer. And then if you are a consumer, I would love to hear from you on what are your expectations of when you do go to an open house? What are you looking for? I would love to continue this conversation in the comments. We'll see you guys in there.
So for November's Coaching Corner, where we want to boost you guys up in your careers for all you realtors out there, we are going to talk about what it really takes to do a successful open house in 2025. Right, Jimmy B?
Yeah, let's get into it. There's quite a few tips and tricks that I would recommend. Definitely love your feedback on it too. But when it comes to doing an open house today in 2025, as we're ending the end of 2025, actually. Man, this year is flying by. I would say a couple things. So the very first thing as an agent that I would recommend when you're doing an open house is don't wait until the last minute to decide that you're doing the open house.
For real.
I see a lot of agents, especially on my team, I'll call you guys out, that they'll decide they want to do an open house on the Friday before a Saturday open house or the Thursday before a Saturday of an open house. And although you can still get the open house in and do it, you're not giving yourself enough time to market it properly. A lot of times, consumers are planning out their weekend ahead on Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, and they're already making that route and itinerary of what open houses they want to hit. They're going to hit the big websites like Zillow, realtor.com, just to name a few, where all the open houses are advertising. If your open house isn't in there by like Tuesday or Wednesday, there's a really good chance they're not going to know about your open house and they're not going to show up. The name of the game with the open houses is to get as much foot traffic in there as humanly possible.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Anything to add to that part?
No, not really. That's it.
Okay. So then beyond that, in my opinion, other than the marketing, putting all the, ads online that you're doing in the open house, you also got to physically attract people to the open house that don't see it online. And you do that by putting out open house signs.
Yep.
I've seen it too many times where realtors will do an open house and they'll put out maybe 5 signs total. They'll put one at the closest intersection, one on the next cross street, maybe one pointing down towards the house, and then maybe 2 in front of the house.
No.
That is not going to work. We coach and train our agents to put out a bare minimum of about 25 signs.
Yep.
That is really about the minimum of what you want to do because you want to grab people's attention. People have short attention spans these days. So if they're driving by and they just see one quick sign, it's not going to register with them. They're just going to keep on driving. Now, if you set up 10 signs in a row that are all spaced out about, 15, 20 feet apart. And it says open house, turn right, open house, open house, open house,
Yeah,
open
the
house.
cluster.
Now you're grabbing somebody's attention. Now there's a much, much better chance that they're going to make that turn and follow the rest of your signs. Hopefully you have enough to go to your open house. You want your open house signs to stand out more? Put balloons on them. Don't be lazy. Go to the dollar store. Go buy some colored balloons that match your open house sign or your brand, because we want to elevate all of our brands. We're with Paramount Home Group, and our colors are purple and gold. So we go to the store and we get purple and gold balloons.
Yep.
You fill them up with helium so that they
gotta
go
float.
upward, right? You don't want them just like dangling off the sign in this Florida heat looking all pathetic and mangled, right? You want like the balloons to show like open house, come to my open house.
Yeah, for sure.
That is very, very important. So really spending a lot of time here just driving the traffic to the open house. That to me is really, really, really the main thing you need to do in order to make the open house work, right?
Yep.
Get traffic to it. I also recommend being strategic with open houses. It doesn't make sense to do an open house on a home that you have to make 50 turns from the main road to get to, because more than likely you're not going to have enough signs unless you plan on putting out 50 plus signs, and people are just going to get lost. It's going to take too long to get back there. And then they may just realize that that's just really far from the main road and they don't want to live that far. They may come halfway, follow your signs, and they may just turn right back around and say, this is too far. I don't want to deal with this. So the best strategic thing to do when you're doing an open house is do them on homes that are very close to main roads, big intersections, homes that are easy to get to.
Yep, for
right?
sure.
I've talked a lot. What would be some of your tips for the agents out there
I love
to make them successful and work in 2025 into 2026?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the cluster of signs, especially on the bigger roads and everything like that. Because putting only one sign up, it's very easy for someone not to be looking or paying attention. But when they see like the third, the fourth, the fifth, the seventh sign there, then it grabs their attention. Because, you're always seeing these onesie, twosie signs of like all these random things, or, the Christmas light put up installers, So I do think that's a big one. I love the idea of the balloons on them. And then I'd say the only other thing too, when it comes to being strategic about picking the property, is also determining like how long a property's been on the market. Because if we're trying to pay attention, like we're always telling even our agents, you're going to have a higher likelihood of a property that's only been on the market a week and getting people into that one versus one that's been on the market 4 months.
Yeah.
Just from the perspective of like a buyer who hasn't seen it. Like one of the biggest things about open houses, especially with driving traffic or buyers that are looking online, is that if the house hasn't been on the market a long time, there's way more curiosity about it. And they're going to want to see it in person versus a house that's already been on the market. Probably the likelihood of those buyers not seeing that already has gotten down dramatically.
Yeah, you definitely need a reason for the buyer to want to show up to the open house.
Yep.
So really the best time to do an open house on a listing is the opening weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the strategies and tips that Annie and I use with our sellers on open houses and when we list properties is if they want to do an open house, because again, some do and some don't, is that we strategically try to list a house very, very late on a Thursday, to the point where like no one's going to see it or want to do showings on a Friday.
Yep.
If you do get one requested, it is what it is, but really try to make it so that first showing is your open house on Saturday. So now that's really going to help drive traffic from the consumer standpoint because it's the first time that they can see it. Mm-hmm. And then, for realtors who have buyers, it's going to be the first time they can see it too. And imagine this. You have two realtors with clients show up at 10 a.m., right, when you start the open house. You have two other random buyers that are unrepresentative show up. Now you're creating FOMO, right?
Absolutely.
Because you have fear of missing out, for those of you who don't know the acronym, where you have all these people and now you're having all these cars pull up and they're like, oh, man, this is a hot open house. Exactly. I got to go check this out. You got to create that frenzy.
Yep.
So that's one timeline thing. So, do the open house on the first weekend that it's listed.
Absolutely.
And then also milestone events with the listing, if you even want to call them milestones. So let's say a home has been sitting on the market for 30 days, hasn't gotten a lot of activity, it's a little stale. Let's say it's listed for $500,000. We'll just use easy numbers. Now at day 30, you realize like, okay, maybe my house is a little overpriced because it's not selling. So you talk to the seller and you decide that you're going to drop the price to, $450. Right?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
$475
Nice.
or some kind of a decent price drop.
Yeah.
Don't do a $5,000 price drop. And think about this. Nobody gets excited for Macy's 0.5% off sale. So you want to do right?
Yep,
So you want to actually
absolutely.
do a decent price drop. But now do that price drop on a Thursday or late on a Wednesday, and now you advertise the open house with the price drop, and now you have a reason for buyers to come in and see it.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then, just like we talked about on our last segment, in the open house, you can, do the good smelling scents, you can have a spread of food. All that, is once you're already in the house to just get the buyer more excited. But really the main goal for a successful open house, in my opinion, is to just drive the traffic to it.
Yep. 100%. All right. I love that. So tell me, what do you think about Jimmy B's tips in terms of really killing it when it comes to doing an open house? Let us know in the comments.
Now it's time for Video of the Month. Who the heck picked this jingle? They don't pay me enough for this
So for this month's Video of the Month segment, we are going to show you a clip of one of our videos. That was one of our open house videos with our favorite character, Beatrice, and how that went. And here it is.
I could see myself sitting here all night, eating Cheetos and watching my favorite TV show, Naked and Afraid. Oh my God! Is that a ceiling fan in the living room? Love! My own little personal entrance, just for me. Oh my God! Cushions! I hope they come with the house. Just the cushions though. I don't need anything else. Is this oven Samsung or Apple? Is this one of those smart toasters? Toaster, go into bagel mode. I never understood why they call these bedrooms. Because there's more than just a bed. This closet's really big. But I really don't have a lot of clothes,
Yeah, Annie. So Beatrice, right? What do you think of Beatrice?
Oh, she's a character for sure.
Yeah?
Definitely a character. Just
What do you remember about shooting that one?
the second she came out with that whole naked and afraid thing, and I was like, that's it. Now we have to plug it in everywhere and stuff like that, because that was just something that
What about her, spreading her legs all over the couch and
she would definitely qualify in the open circus section of open houses versus an open circus.
That is very true.
Open
That
circus.
is very
She's
true.
that character right there where you're like, why are you here?
Yeah, I think with Beatrice, her character is definitely more of that real just sexual energy, right? And just really funny. So with that, when we were shooting it, my goal as Beatrice was to, do all these weird poses and just be a little over-sexualized. And just out of nowhere, we started just referencing the show Naked and Afraid.
She started it.
We have no affiliation with them
Yeah.
at all. But, the fact that we're just talking about all that kind of stuff, it was so fitting. And then, for us, I think it just became so funny in the moment that we decided to use the Naked and Afraid stuff in pretty much every single open house character we did.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely made filming just that much more fun for us personally, going through and doing all that. So, yeah. Beatrice
Yeah.
for the win. to
Yeah,
start all that.
I can't promise if Beatrice is here to stay forever, but right now most of you guys find her pretty entertaining, so we're gonna keep Beatrice around just for a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah. So that concludes this segment for Video of the Month, and it also concludes our episode of the month of November as well. Can't wait to see you guys next month in December for the next episode.
Yeah, enjoy turkey time, and we will see you before Christmas.